but it's a trip. 5
to order, so could we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance? We're gonna assume it's over there, so let's face the camera. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We do have a very brief agenda. It's good, so could we do a quick roll call?
Absolutely. Is your Commissioner Monet,
present.
Commissioner Laguna,
Present.
Commissioner Rodriguez-Min,
Present.
and Chair O'Kello.
Present.
And Commissioner Block is absent today.
Open up for public comment. Anybody, member of the public?
Let me go ahead. And
Perhaps you could start off by reading the instructions.
Yeah.
Requirements.
one, he's fine though. There we go. Okay, so. There. So spoken public comment. Will be accepted during the meeting in person or remotely through Zoom. Public comments in person will be taken first, followed by speakers on Zoom. You will be called on by name to speak when it is your turn. If you wish to speak to the commission, please fill out a speaker slip located near the conference room door. If you have anything that you wish to distribute to the commission and included in the official record, please hand it to the staff person for the department who will distribute the information to the commission members and staff. For speakers on Zoom, please use the raised hand function to indicate you would like to speak for an item. When the chair calls on public comment, click on raised hands. Speakers will be notified shortly before they are called to speak. You will be provided ability to unmute your microphone and begin speaking. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes.
Thank you. Since we don't have any member of the public with us here today, and I presume we may or may not have anybody raising their hand online that wants to speak.
There's no member of the public wishing to speak at this time.
So could we kindly proceed to the next item, action to set the agenda? I would love to make some comments unless somebody else has some comments about it. I wanna make some comments before we take that action. Is that okay with everybody? I would like to have 7 on the regular agenda. I would like to talk about 7.3 first, because I think that's gonna have implications as to appointment of a commissioner to the Fish and Game Propagation Fund. So if there's no objection, I would like to do that.
Just want to change the
order. The order, just want to change the order.
I have no objection.
Okay. And so there being no objection, could I get a motion to set the agenda?
I'll do it. Yeah, I'd like to, so we're gonna change 7.3.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to set the agenda with the only I guess shift being we're gonna move 7.3 from the regular agenda to before 7.1.
Second that motion
All in favor?
on the floor.
Aye.
Then we could move to the next item, the Parks Foundation update. See, Michelle is here with us.
Good afternoon, commissioners and staff. For my report out, I just thought we would show the open road episode that we recently funded and aired twice in the last 2 months. This was a story that we pitched and it features Flood Park and the youth who advocated for the pump track. So enjoy.
Nice.
From tranquil redwood forests to the serene beaches of the Pacific Coast, the San Mateo County parks offer many opportunities for us to disconnect and reconnect with nature and each other. With 14 parks spanning 16,000 acres and over 200 miles of trails, Parks Director Nicholas Calderon believes that the land is not only everyone's responsibility to protect, but also to enjoy.
When in the San Mateo County Park system, you can go camping and hiking and running and dog walking. You can enjoy tide pooling, playing on playgrounds, picnicking.
Celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2024, San Mateo County Parks has been providing increasingly diverse experiences to the public year after year.
We're really looking just to redefine who we are in this 100th year and set ourselves up to continue to serve the public for another 100 years.
The next generation of park goers are growing up with some of the parks seemingly in their backyard, yet getting to them can still prove challenging. As the director of Trips for Kids program in Redwood City, Rafael Avenado is dedicated to ensuring that children can access and enjoy these open spaces.
Who doesn't like to see green space and go wild? Good! Pedal, pedal! You did the cliff!
By taking kids out to the wilderness, the Trips for Kids program helps children develop practical skills and confidence and foster a love of the natural world.
We go to parks all around the San Mateo County and also in the Sierras. We go camping, we go hiking, we also teach youth about mechanics. For many of our youth in North Fair Oaks, families work a lot, so our goal is to make sure that kids get to experience the great outdoors. It's cool, it's just the joy that they get from being out there outdoors. I still get it, and then I share it, and so it becomes infectious. And then we hopefully change the world with that attitude.
Juventino Flores says that his world changed when he joined the Trips for Kids Bulldog Riders bike group.
I was a troublesome kid. I really felt like alone, so I kind of turned away from I guess the regular route for a kid to take. I had never gone camping. I never gone really bike riding in the woods. But Rafael would take us on field trips. I felt like I was a part of something great. It just really helped out a lot. Me mentally too, feeling the breeze in your face, riding a bike, sweating and stuff, it felt nice.
It goes deeper than just riding a bike. It goes into how do we share that love of the bicycle, which is liberation, freedom, for everyone.
Sharing that love and giving back to their community is one of the most gratifying aspects of the program for Rafael.
They come back and give back. So being a Bulldog rider doesn't just mean you go on field trips. It also means you put on bike fairs, bike rodeos, fix-it clinics. We've advocated for bike lanes in our community. We've advocated for lighting in our community, stop signs.
Learning to advocate became an invaluable skill for the Bulldog riders when they discovered something they believed would make a big difference in their community.
Took a field trip out to Santa Cruz one weekend, and they're like, "Why don't we have one of these in our parks?" And I'm like, "That's a great question. What do you think we have to do?"
One of these was a pump track. A pump track is a playground for all kinds of wheels, a looping trail that you can ride without pedaling or pushing. After their first visit to one, they became excited and motivated to try to get a pump track in their own community.
And it was a wild idea, but we didn't know that this wild idea would marinate really well with this Flood Park redesign. And as soon as they said Flood Park would be redesigned, we're like, this is the opportunity.
He made us understand that since we're the future, our voice counts.
Even though it would be a long process, Juventino wanted to provide younger kids the opportunities to enjoy the parks that made such a difference in his own life.
We started going to council meetings.
I sent them emails talking about how it would help us and why we wanted it and why it would help the community as well.
It took years of planning and construction, but recently, the former Bulldog riders finally tasted the sweet fruits of success. Now college students, Juventino and Martine, return to find the newly built pump track in Flood Park being enjoyed by a new generation of riders.
It's kind of like a dream, I guess, in a way. It's just like, it's unreal that we were able to do this. It's empowering.
If me and my friends were able to put our hearts and souls into something so important to us and it happened, I could only imagine what else we could do, you know?
I'm just extremely proud to be a part of their journey, to be able to say that we did this together.
When we come back, a great way to give back and have a blast.
Oh, I thought it was still going on.
Yeah.
I was waiting for 30 more minutes. I'm willing to do.
Raphael remind me, he's a clone, he's a clone of you. I think he's a half Nicolas. I think you really hit you.
You know, I think I'm fortunate
You
if
guys
I would
could be
be half of
related.
him, you know, I mean, we're very fortunate to have Raphael in this county. And the youth of North Fair Oaks are extremely lucky, to have someone so passionate, and compassionate.
Great,
Thank
great.
you.
Seems like he loves what he's doing.
Yeah, so any
Especially
comment,
for the
any other,
kids and-
any other comments, questions?
They didn't get you on your, they got you on your track day and not on your suit. I thought, you know.
It was cold that day. It was cold that day.
I'm thinking they get you with the, nice suit.
I know, I typically don't wear jackets into the field anymore. I've ruined enough clothes to know. Michelle, do you have anything else?
No, it's just we've been an underwriter for Open Road since its first season, so we usually pitch a story at the end of the calendar year and get to see it come to fruition, so
That's
it's fun to
great.
share.
That's great,
Awesome.
great,
Thank you.
great. Thank you.
Awesome.
It worked great. So, any public comments?
Showing none.
So, move to the next item, department update.
Yeah. I think you want to do that. We just want to share the window. Alright. I apologize, Chair. Are we on 6?
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. So, commissioners, the department report is in front of you. Just a few issues that I'd like to call out. First, I do want to point out, thank you, Chair O'Keller, for pointing out, the tables on attachment 1 are mislabeled. The first table is actually Q1 of 2024, and the table, the second table is 2023. So the intent there was to show the change in visitor usage between 23 and 24 in the first quarter. As stated in the report, we saw a considerable increase, but that is largely contributed to the fact that a lot of the parks were closed during the first quarter of 2023, and there was a lot of damage, including at Sawyer Camp, at FMR, at Coyote Point, that kept those parks closed well after the winter storm. So, I think it's I wouldn't draw too much from the comparison between the two, but it's something that we like to do when we provide quarterly data. Also in the annual or in the director's report is a link to a survey. We would love for you all to take a look at that survey. It's for Coyote Point. We're very excited about where we are with our Coyote Point effort. And our survey really looks at 3 things. First is what people currently love about Coyote Point. Second is what type of features, facilities, and uses people would like to see at Coyote Point. And then third is really playground based, because we do have that $1 million from Representative Mullen to replace Magic Mountain. And so this is that first data collection of what people want to see in a playground at Coyote Point. So very excited about that. We are going to be doing, we'll have the survey open into July, and we have a number of engagement opportunities between now and then. We have met with a community-based organization in San Mateo called Homework Central, where they allowed us to attend their end of school year dinner barbecue. with their families, and it was just remarkable getting to meet with a lot of the families from the north central area of San Mateo who rely on Coyote Point as a local resource. And something that you'll hear me say time and time again is that Coyote Point serves as a local resource, but also serves as a regional destination. One cannot push out the other, and it's so important that we recognize that. And in order for this project to be a success, it has to respect both of those kind of services. But please take a look at that survey. We would absolutely love for you to take that as well as share that with your constituents. I would also like to talk about Flood Park. You saw the pump track in that video. I think you know at this point we're very proud of that pump track. Not only are we proud because it's really a great story of what grassroots efforts can lead to, but I'm pretty excited about the final product. I mean, this is a product that people drive from other counties to use. And when we were out there that day shooting that video, what you really didn't get a sense of is Rafa coordinated with a local school, and that week they were doing a special kind of program for kids where you got to pick one non-school related topic, and you got to do that for the month. And it was like I think it's one class per week for that month. And one of them was a bike club. And the teacher leading that group brought the kids to the Flood Park pump track on the first day of that course. And every session after that, all they wanted to do is go back to the Flood Park pump track. He said, hey, there are all these other places we can go. And they said, no, we're good. We just want to go back to the Flood Park pump track. And so they'd ride their bikes on the overpass from over the freeway, and they would ride into the park, and the kids had an awesome time. And I think my favorite part was watching the teacher trying to get the kids off the track to go back to school because none of them wanted to go.
Nobody wanted to.
Yeah, but you know, that's what these projects are about. And I think I want to make sure the commission gets recognition as well. I mean, this project has been going on for a long time, and I think there were a lot of great feedback opportunities that occurred here at the commission. But there was also one moment, I don't know if you all realize, but the commission really stood firm with the project and said, we're supporting this and we want to see it move forward. And that was a really important turning point for that project. And it was because you all understood the value of that project to the community. So I think the commission deserves credit for that. And then the last is July 11th is going to be the Parks Department's 100-year anniversary at Memorial Park. So it's Memorial Park's 100-year anniversary, therefore it's the department's 100-year anniversary. And technically it's July 4th of this year, but that's such an important weekend for campers. Historically, we didn't really want to do an event that displaced a lot of families that have been going there for generations. So July 11th, we'll be having an event at Coyote Point, at Memorial Park. That information, we will get that to you all, but we'd love to have you all there. And
It's a day event or night event?
it's a day event. And there will be speakers, some amazing photos, some remarkable food. None of the event would be possible if it weren't for the foundation, and so we're very appreciative of the foundation. And we're just really excited to recognize everything that's been accomplished over the last 100 years, right? I mean, we started with one park, we're now at 24. That event will be in July. In October, we'll be opening our newest park, which is Tunitas Creek Beach. Also in October, we'll be rehabilitating what I believe is the second park in the system at Flood. I mean, this has been a monumental year. This is going to be a monumental year for this department. But I have to say, when I think about the 100-year anniversary, it makes me proud of what the department's been able to accomplish, but it makes me more excited about what we're going to be able to do over the next 100 years. And I won't be here for all of it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what I can of it. And it's going to be remarkable. So, please mark your calendars for that. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Any comments or questions from the commission?
I had one, almost more clarification in terms of the flood park. So there's the phase one, then there's the phase two. In the update, it talked about phase one, like construction's all, or the tear down and then the construction's going.
Yeah.
It said that the new amenities schedule will be open to the public in October 2024, right?
Mhm.
That's phase one,
Mhm.
which includes. and
Yeah.
doesn't- Yeah,
So the phase one is the pump track, which is already open.
Yep.
The small multi-use sport field, the tennis pickleball courts, the basketball courts, sand volleyball courts, the walking paths, 20 drop-in picnic sites, 7 reservation sites, new landscaping, new subsurface utilities, improvements to the parking lot to both improve flow and capacity, and emergency response, which is really important. So that's phase one.
Okay.
Phase two is the playground and the nearby restroom, renovation of that.
Okay.
Phase three will be the large baseball field, the baseball field and large multi-use field and another restroom. And then phase four will be kind of the remainder.
got it. So then the three project alternatives that were in the update,
Mhm.
that's for phase two. That's for the restroom sorry. What was it?
Yeah, so phase two, it's gonna be the playgrounds, the playground and then the restroom.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then phase three is all of those, like, cause I remember there was like kind of like a master plan that
Yeah.
that there was where, and it looked great, right? You guys presented it like several months ago.
Yeah.
But now that we're breaking it into the phases, it feels like there's gonna be different alternatives for each one of those, so, or is it just phase two that has the 3 different alternatives?
Just phase two.
Okay, got
Depending on how we pursue the focal element.
Yeah.
That could have kind of some alternatives too, but for example, the baseball field, large multi-use field,
That's already-
that's set, right? What we really need for that is funding.
Got it.
And on the note of funding, we went out, we rebid this project and for a variety of factors, and so the new bid came in a way that allowed us to recognize some savings. And so between that and the generosity of the board, phase two is expected to be funded. So phase one is funded, phase two is funded.
Got it. Cool, thank you.
Phase three is not funded.
Yeah.
Any other comments? All commissioners?
Hope we all could attend, that's Loma Mar is a exact, that's kind
Is the
of
location.
closer to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So July 11th, all roads lead to, right? Okay, any comments, any requests from the public?
Showing none.
Okay, commission's permission, perhaps we can move on to item number 7. Thank you so much for the report.
Commissioner, Mateo, give me one. Hey, Scott, can you do me a favor and just raise your hand and make sure that you all can hear us? Or Carla? Okay, thanks, Carla.
Okay, great. So, item number 7, let's go to 7, the new 7.1. Discuss the status of park membership in 2025. I suggested we put this item on the agenda for this one particular reason. Actually, several reasons. One, Warren Slocum appointed me 12 years ago. Is terming out. And so come January, there's gonna be a new supervisor, who obviously is gonna exercise the rights to appoint whoever they want to appoint. My intention, however, to stop being a member of the commission in December. I do not wish to be reappointed. I think 12 years is a very, very long time. And as well as, and this is a discussion, it's no secret that I had trouble with Warren Slocum from the beginning, but I think in terms of governance, I think the more opportunities the local public gets to be in positions such as ours, the more of them we get, the better it's gonna be, for the county. And so, every 4 years we have that conversation, but always felt that I needed to be back on it, you know, for whatever reason. So I've been here for the last 12 years. But I think that's gonna be the end of it for me. I'll obviously assist whoever the new supervisor is in terms of, you know, who are the possibilities in the county. We have one of them. Guess what? And so that's the reason I did put this on the agenda. The other reason is there are two other commissioners whose terms are expiring in December. And so I wanted us as a commission to collectively talk about what decision they themselves have made. If they've made, yeah, hopefully they're gonna wish to continue to serve, and they're gonna have a discussion with their supervisors and have themselves appointed sooner rather than later. So we don't encounter the same situation we encountered a couple of years ago where we waited for an extremely long
Several years,
period
it
of
felt
time.
like.
And we had to have one of us serve several years, as a chair for the commission. And so I would like to suggest that we do not place ourselves as a commission in the same type of situation. So if those two individuals can begin talking to their respective supervisors and express their intention, if they intend to be reappointed, I think that would be absolutely great. But if anyone intends to, back off or do anything else, that would compromise, the health and the well-being of the commission, is better we know if the commission knows it now than knows it later. And so this is something for the two commissioners to think about. It's not anything that we wanna, put them on a spot, to have them make a decision here, but it's something just for them to think about.
Chair Keller, Director Keller, look, 12 years is great to be on a commission. I think, given the videos that we've seen, given the progression that this county has made, especially with parks, that goes a little bit, somewhat, we're like the step brother, but people are finally catching on because they know that they heard we're throwing some nice parties, so they want to come and, oh wow, they see they're getting wowed. So definitely you're 12, and I learned from you on this commission, and learned a lot being a commissioner, even for being looked at from other commissions, wanting to go to other commissions, being asked if I want to join other commissions. It's been, next year will be year 8 for me. And I spoke to my supervisor, David Canepa, who appointed me back in the end of 2016, early 2017, and asked if I want to continue on. I probably do, because I want to see what is going to happen. What's the end result with Flood Park? What's going to happen with the parks on the coast? So I think the commissioners that we have now, I think we've done a great job, and we've got a great leader in our director, and those who have their hands in the cookie jar doing good things, not bad things. We've done great as a commission, and I think we're rising. So do I want to continue? Probably. I do want to continue at least for another year. So there's your answer right there. And there's your answer right there.
Very good.
Well, I'd say for District 1, Pine is gonna be out. I don't know Jackie. So yeah, I think regardless of whether, regardless of whether I want or not to go, I think, I'll be rolling off. And is it December? So we'll still do the November?
Your
term goes through?
your last meeting is December of 2024.
Okay.
That would be
Okay.
technically if I decided not to stay on, or if I told Supervisor Canepa from District 5, hey, thanks for giving me the opportunity to learn about parks and policy for this past 7 years. I can say mahalo, and he can find someone in District 5.
Got it. Okay. I'll probably have to talk to Dave Pine about kind of what's kind of the next step, because I'm assuming Jackie will probably take
Probably has
on.
one of her own people.
And she's gonna be taking on the official role in November, right? As far as, no, it rolls, okay, it is January, okay.
January.
Okay, so, all right, then, yeah, I mean, I'll obviously talk to Supervisor Pine, but, yeah, I don't think that I'll be continuing past this year. But, yeah, I mean, like all the other commissioners that have passed in the last, passed over in the last, couple of years here. I'm obviously here if anyone wants to talk or if we want to kind of get stuff going on, but yeah, then December will be my last meeting.
So it's good to know that. So now we at least know there are gonna be 3 commissioners. You know, and the commission can function. And then there are certain actions that are gonna be taken in terms of chair, vice chair, and so on and so forth, which are gonna happen before December. Or the nominations are gonna happen
Yeah.
in November
Yeah,
and so on and so
Yep.
forth. So there are certain actions that we can certainly participate in December, but it's good to know way in advance that, you know, the commission is still gonna have a quorum.
Yeah.
Or a majority.
Cool.
Yeah, all right. So, since this was an informational item only, do you still have to solicit public comment?
Yeah, you certainly do have comments.
So are there any members of the public who wanna speak on the issue?
Showing none.
That being the case, then we can talk about appointing permission to the Fish and Game Propagation Application Evaluation Committee. How does the commission want us to proceed on this? Individuals wanna just raise their hand and volunteer? What should we do? What's the pleasure?
Through the chair, I would like to suggest we briefly recap what the role entails, and my question to the director is, where are we with the program, and are we anticipating rolling that out this summer? What might that timeline and commitment from the commissioner, you know, at what point during this next year will the commissioner have to, you know, those applications come in to be reviewed?
Great question. Let me pull up the schedule here.
So for the benefit of the audience, this is someone from the commission to work with the staff to review any applications that we may receive
Yes.
for funds from the Fish and Game Propagation Fund.
Yeah.
So through the chair, the intent based on the document the commission approved is that the application process will open this month, close next month, and the department will spend some time reviewing the grant applications, making sure everything is properly submitted, and then the review panel, and I'm sorry, the review panel would be spending time at somewhere between July and September reviewing the applications, depending on how many are received. And then in October is when the recommendation would be made to the full commission. So, you know, how much time or what type of time commitment is gonna be based largely on how many applications are received. I do think the application form, which was part of what was adopted, is pretty straightforward. So I don't see this taking up a significant amount of time. Given the amount of money available, I don't see, you know, dozens of applications being received. So I don't think it's an unreasonable time request.
And through the chair, my original thought was, well, if one of the 3 kind of remaining commissioners after this year is not here, should we even do it? But Commissioner Block obviously had access to this to this agenda, so I'm sure, I don't know, I would assume that he'd know that if he wanted to be part of that he would do it, but it is something to consider. You know, I don't know how much lead time we would need, like when the submissions would start to kind of roll in and when we'd need to get it. I don't know about the willingness of either of the 2 of you that want to take this on, but that was just one other thought, just given that Commissioner Block was not here. Yeah, we should take that into account.
That's a good point.
I
That's a
think
good
that
point.
makes, that's probably the next best thing to do.
Mhm.
Is what you come up with as a surmise on, potential commissioners taking on that
Yeah.
task. I think that's not out of bounds, I think it's definitely within the realm of things.
I'd like to remind the commission that we are not meeting in July.
We are dark,
July is the,
we
okay,
are
yeah.
dark for that month.
that's right,
Yeah,
it'll be
we-
August before we.
Yeah, so
okay, so that's
if
the-
we do not make the decision this time, then it's gonna be August, and in August, that's when the review of the
Okay.
proposals need to happen. So I think that probably tells us that we do need to take that action, today.
Then I would assume we're down to two unless you
Right.
wanna do one for old time's sake and.
No, we're down to two. I think we're down to two, but that person has to be a member of the commission.
Yeah, that's
If you're not gonna be members in December,
That's right.
Get it out the way.
so what's the pleasure of the commission? So somebody volunteer? Or,
I will offer to
Alright.
serve as the representative of the commission on the review panel, should my esteemed colleagues agree with that.
I think we totally agree. We totally
That's a
agree.
good move.
In the back of our mind, you're saying, we're thinking about
Smart.
it in
Smart
mind. So shall we take a formal action? Make a motion to appoint
Vice Chair
Vice Chair.
Rodriguez. Been on this tabling,
That's the motion.
Make the motion.
you made a motion or?
No,
I'm
you're making the
I'm making a
motion.
motion on the
Yeah,
floor of
asking
that.
for a motion.
I, silly me, I was the past chair, so I should know it. I'd like to make a motion on the floor on June 6th, June commission meeting for parks, that Commissioner Rodriguez Menton be, assigned, or tabled it on the agenda. How can we phrase it?
Okay, so to appoint Commissioner Rodriguez to the Fish and Game Propagation Fund Application Evaluation Committee. And do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
If I may,
We have to-
I think, just to be clear and maybe to clarify, I think that would be for this particular go around. Reviewing, with the idea being that this is gonna be happening every couple of years. So this wouldn't be in perpetuity, this would be for this
For
particular.
this, for
review.
years.
This year.
So it's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Congratulations. Okay. And so that action been completed. So the next item, could we review the topics discussed at the May 2nd, 2024 Parks Commission meeting? And come to some decision as to whether there are any follow-up actions that the commission need to take. And before we start on that, I think let me just express a few concerns. I think the meetings have been perfect, the level of engagement in the last meeting was just, I think, absolutely awesome, absolutely phenomenal. And I think that's something that we should actively encourage. But then I think there are a couple of comments I'd like to make regarding sound. Just having a microphone speaker, one of those portable ones. We need to have those, and we probably need to have one, where the commissioners, one microphone for the commissioners and staff, and certainly one microphone for the public, so the audibility is not much of an issue. And meeting at the park, it was relatively windy, very noisy. And so there were some times when it was difficult, to really hear and understand what people were bringing up. And You obviously couldn't ask them to shout, but but that's something that I really do need for us to consider. And the other thing is that, if that public address system would have the ability to record. Then just like we are having a recording of this in Zoom, we're gonna have a recording of it somewhere. So if there was any lack of clarity, we can go back to some recording and do that. So having said that, so we can, if commissioners can remember some important topics that came out of that commission meeting, topics that we can just reflect on, even if we do not have to do any follow-up on them. But we can zero in on the ones that we specifically want to do some follow-up action. So I'll open it up to the pleasure of the commission.
Look, I think it was great, and it's always good to have these type of meetings at least once or twice a year in the calendar year, provided the months that we do meet, and to connect with the coast and to connect with everyone that has small children, to elders and seniors that love to hike, and people that want to see us, and those that made it happen, like kudos that made that meeting happen, because it gets a sense of direction of the local residents, especially in town, from Half Moon Bay down, to Granada, to cities further down, that, hey, this commission does care, and they are actually taking their time away from their permanent location to come and meet with us. So it's a very heartfelt feeling that I got and gathered from amongst the many who showed up from all walks of clouds. Many demographics came out and showed up and participated. So I like to see that, and I've likened that, and I wish we can actually meet more than just once. And I think maybe moving forward, the senior leadership of this commission can select what areas, so we can bring other neighborhoods to those parks, maybe flood, maybe other neighborhood parks that really want visibility from the commission. So that's my sort of 2 cents on what I thought of last meeting.
Any other comments?
Yes, through the chair, I agree with you, your suggestions or your comment that it was hard, challenging to hear, and it was such a big crowd too, which was amazing. I loved that engagement. I love seeing the crowd and the variety of people who came with their stories about their involvement or memories of how the park has changed. And then obviously to see for ourselves what they're talking about when they were pointing out some of the areas they'd like to see improvements. So yes, I think if there's a way to have amplification, it would be helpful. My question for council was really kind of after the meeting, or as we moved through the park, there were one-on-one conversations happening, like people addressing comments like directly to me, or kind of you naturally break into small groups. And I wasn't sure, you want to be that responsive to people, but also trying to keep it within that formal meeting structure, right? Where all comments are heard and all comments are recorded. And then if there's things that I didn't want to speak out of turn, right? And say something that wasn't addressed by the whole commission. So that was a little bit awkward, and that's the nature of any type of meeting we have. So any advice that council can give us on how to handle that or not worry about it would be fine. It'd be great.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that I haven't, that's a new issue for me, and this is a new type of a meeting. And I think what you're contemplating is a particular issue for this sort of a thing. And I could look into that and maybe get back to you offline. My initial thinking is that, the Brown Act prohibits a quorum of the board from sort of considering a matter or more than, not on a board agenda. you know, in that situation, I think when people are kind of coming up to you individually and asking you questions, that's not something that would necessarily implicate a Brown Act issue unless they were kind of going from person to person and saying, you said this and you said this. But even then, you know, a member of the public, it's sort of like a reporter who might be going one to one to the board of supervisors asking them questions. And or a reporter is not kind of acting as like a hub and spoke kind of a Brown Act issue. I think, you know, and I think I can't remember, I actually might have overheard Thad in one situation sort of, I think, say to someone like, appreciate your feedback. I would encourage, I think he encouraged somebody to sort of speak their point during public comment period. And then I think the normal sort of response of, you know, appreciate you sharing that, but we're not at liberty to discuss things that aren't on the agenda. But yeah, it was really neat to have so many people there. And, you know, I'll admit I had a couple people coming up to me also. I'm not subject to the Brown Act, but it is a tricky issue. And I think you all handled it really well.
And you also did remind us, specifically, that I think at some point we're having a discussion that there were 2 commissioners, I think. You know, there were 3. But just to remember, don't be 3 commissioners crowding around a member of the public or members of the public and having a discussion on one topic. So you did remind us that we need to be cognizant as to how many commissioners,
I have
you know, should be talking.
A colleague of mine is, I think, when I was sort of new to this job years ago, said that the majority of Brown Act violations happen at the very beginning and end of meetings. When sort of everybody's chit-chatting before or after. And I mean, for folks who are at home watching this, I can say that is not it, that I've never observed that even a single time being an issue with this commission. It's usually just exchanging pleasantries and things like that, which again are not Brown Act issues. But you know, that's the kind of thing where even somebody who's standing off to the side or watching on Zoom might say, what are they talking about?
Right.
And you know, the best thing is always just to avoid the appearance of impropriety in the first instance. So I wasn't trying to
No, I like
to
that
skew the other
expression. I
prosecutor,
remember
but-
that expression. You told that story, in fact, you know,
Yeah.
when you initially came, you know, somebody advised you that, you know, Brown Act violations usually happen at the beginning or at the end of the meetings when people are congregating. And so, you know, we had to take cognizance of that. Look around, see there was no 3rd commissioner. You know, there were just the 2 of us.
Through the chair, just to kind of piggyback on what Craig was saying, I do think the appropriate response from a best practice, not from a legal perspective, but a best practice is, that's a great question. Can you ask that during public comment so that everyone can hear it? But with that said, I would also say, don't let that discourage you from having conversations with people on our on-sites as we're walking from location to location. I will tell you, you know, from seeing who showed up at the Quarry Park meeting, those are very dedicated residents that have a lot of amazing things to say and share. And it's a really unique opportunity for you to connect with them. You know, I'll be like, I've had years to connect with a lot of these people. And so I find that the amount of information I learned just from kind of having these types of, you know, short conversations is remarkable and eye-opening. So definitely don't be discouraged from having those conversations, but any questions regarding what we're discussing, I would definitely just defer back to the public commission.
Very good advice. Yes.
I have one more question, kind of related to what you just said, in that we chose, and I love the format that we chose of one meeting here and one meeting out on site. And we chose certain parks because there were new things to look at, or like Tanitas Creek will be, you know, a new park. So we're kind of looking at what works we've been successful at completing. Are there parks that are gonna be in the next phase where we might consider on-site visits to those parks and pre-engaging or with the community, kind of to build that community. And build the relationships there. If we can consider that, you know, early for next year, I think it would be helpful. I want to make sure there's equity for every neighborhood, that every neighborhood knows that they can be as vocal as the you know, and involved as the Quarry Park folks and the Flood Park, you know, the North Fair Oaks kids that we saw. So are there other areas that we could consider starting that relationship building as well?
Yeah, through the chair, when I think about the next 2 on-sites that we have scheduled for this year, one is Tunitas, and I think the other's Flood. And the Flood community will show up, right? And that includes the Menlo Park community and the North Coast will show up.
And the East Palo Alto
And the
community
East Palo Alto
may
community will
also
show up.
right?
And that's in part to be part of the conversation and really, I think depending on when we time it to get some early eyes on the improvements that, people aren't seeing right now. So I think there's gonna be a lot of excitement about that. Tunitas, I think, is a unique situation because there is no local community. There are, Pescadero and the South Coast is nearby, but not walking distance, right? That's a trek on a bike. The Half Bay community is nearby, but not really, right? And so, not to say that people don't feel a special connection to that property, but it's not the same as, say, Quarry or Flood or something. I think we can really think about how to get the word out for that and encourage people to show up. I would also say for the Tunitas one in particular though, right? That one is equally important that you all are getting your eyes on what's gone down and what's about to open as much as the public and hearing what they have to say, because that is at this point in time the largest capital project from a dollar perspective, I believe we've ever done as a department. So it's, that's important that we're able to really dive into that and look at each aspect of the project. Whereas Flood, I think it'd be more important that you have an opportunity to connect with the neighbors, if that makes sense.
So with Tunitas, that's more of a regional, for lack of a better term, facility. And I would not be surprised if, for instance, people from East Palo Alto don't have a clue it exists. And so I've got two questions. One, do we have a database of people that have visited that general area, use that park? We don't. Yeah. Two, in terms of reaching out to the public, can we do any additional, outreach just to prep our public that this massive project is taking place and is taking place in your front yard? And and we can do part of that work in terms of marketing. Any agencies that we know that are in the field or can take advantage of those facilities, we can invite them that we are having a special meeting at this place. It'll be good for you to see what's getting ready to be done, and what kind of facility is being thought about. So if you can come to this Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, that would be extremely helpful. So I say all of that to try to get us back to the original agenda, which is, are there other things that may have come out, from our meeting, from our last meeting, that we need to follow up on? I mean, there was a lot of discussion on, we don't want those eucalyptus trees taken down. And they were afraid that the Parks Department would just ready with the access or whatever equipment, and they were gonna go out there, the following week and just take all those foreign alien species of trees down, which is really not the case. But I'm not so sure that message went out. It may have gone out to certain individuals, but I'm not sure it went out to, sort of everybody. And so that, that was one concern. And the other concern, which of course you already knew about, was the flooding. And it's just the interpretation as to why the flooding occurs. Some people are willing to blame us, to blame the department, saying it's because you guys did this and that and that and the other, and you rerouted this and that. The river used to go around this side and you blocked it off. Now it's going along this side and it's creating flooding in this area and so on and so forth. And it seems to me that's an issue that I do not know how we as a commission working with the department and address in terms of because winter is gonna come and the rains are gonna come again and the flooding is gonna occur in those very same streets and so on and so forth. And, you know, we're gonna get, you know, people, you know, screaming and shouting at us, which they rightfully should do. And so we need to figure out how we can sort of get ahead of that and deal with it in the best way that's gonna serve, you know, serve the communities. I don't know whether the commission would wanna, you know, that have that either the flooding thing specifically put on the agenda for further discussion and what we would hope to have come out of that. And then two, talk about, you know, what the department's plans are in terms of the eucalyptus trees, and just reemphasize, you know, the statement that we are not, the department's intent is not to take them, and that's not a practical way of dealing with the eucalyptus problem. But, you know, put on the agenda and have the opportunity for the public to participate, but, you know, certainly get that message across. So those are two items that I think did come out of those two. Those are two issues I think that, you know, did come out of that meeting that we probably need to do some follow-up on.
Commissioner, Chair Okello, I think, what you bring up is critical information that not just us as a commission is aware or needs to be aware or has, been made aware. But I think the public also has every right to know, the health and, beautification of their neighborhood parks as well. What happens, where's the funding, how much money is getting allotted or set aside year after year after year. We too in California go through our as much non-rain that we have. We do have some months where we do have some catastrophic raining months that have impacted us the last couple of years, and we've taken long pauses from updating parks or should have broken ground. But because of the nasty weather or very challenging weather from the past winters, hasn't been able to sort of break ground any quicker. And the director could speak on that regarding money that's put aside each year for catastrophic weather conditions. But I think those are very two valid points that we can continue and move forward with. And then definitely see what the rest of, if anyone has public comment in that regards, or what the other commissioners have to say, and what the director has to say when it comes to keeping our parks within upkeep.
Through the chair, I think the other thing is, like, obviously there were a lot of things that came up. We didn't even talk about the what is it, the air curtain burners, and there was some concern about that as well. I don't know, maybe if the answer to this is just put a like one item on the agenda to address maybe some of the open questions, right? Like maybe we do get an update from DPW on what they're responsible for, what they're not responsible for, right? For the air curtain burners, you know, maybe we do give a little bit more of an understanding of, you know, what, like how they're operating, when they operate, and that kind of stuff. Maybe for the eucalyptus, right? We talk, you know, there's maybe a couple of additional points that kind of get brought up in terms of what the plan is or like whatever. But I mean, I think there's just a lot there, and it's very focused on one park, which is right, because that's where we were, right, last time. But maybe we just do give, like, you know, a small update on some of the other pieces, or we put it as one item on an agenda, so that at least, you know, the public knows that we're either addressing it or that we heard it, and that we're, you know, giving maybe some more vital information on it that they didn't get during the onsite. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of that, Nicholas, because I know you did provide answers to a lot of those questions that had come up, but I know there's probably some more, things coming up as well.
Through the chair, I think we addressed a lot of the issues on site. I think a lot of the answers I gave on site, I've given both in writing and verbally
Yes.
numerous times in the past.
Yes.
One thing I'd say is like the air curtain burner. By the time your next meeting occurs, they'll be
gone.
done and off-site, they'll be down south.
Yeah.
So, I guess what I can say to that is we've made changes to its operations, which has extended the duration it's had to be on site, but it's working really well. And we're finding that this is a very effective way to process that much material.
And
There-
maybe, sorry to interrupt. I was just saying, maybe, and I know the air current burner is like one of the things that didn't get brought up when we first talked about Flood Park. But maybe there is some, demystification of it, because I do feel like you did give a pretty good answer when we were on site. But if these are gonna be used at other sites, right? Maybe there does need to be some kind of an update, whether it's a written one as part of, the general update or whatever. But yeah, anyways.
The department would be more than happy to bring back a report out to the commission on what our findings were and what our opinion was on the air current burner and what worked, what we felt could be done better in the future, and what type of settings we think it was most appropriate for. So we'd be happy to bring that back. We'll be burning really for the rest of this month when allowed pursuant to the permit. And so, sometime later this year, I'd be happy to have something on the agenda and bring that back. Yes.
So, let me just get some clarification. So are we gonna bring an update on all of those items or just that one specific item, the curtain burner? Or are we thinking of an update as well in terms of flooding? And in terms of, the responsibility, PW is responsible for certain functions. And this department is responsible for certain functions, but, somehow the public is not clear, okay? Is it flooding a Department of Parks issue or it's a Public Works issue? So just getting the public and even the commission to understand, who has responsibility for what.
Chair, I ultimately, it's your pleasure as to what comes back to the commission, right? As the individual responsible for setting the agenda. If you would like to have all of these items brought back, that's what the agenda setting committee, subcommittee is able to do through that process. If you're interested in having some of them come back, then that's also something that you can pick and choose. I would say I would encourage for there to be kind of some a thought exercise as to items coming back. Is there actually something to be acted on, right?
Right.
So with the flooding, as I stated during the commission meeting, that there's not an action the department sees as it taking to address that because the water is following its natural drainage course. I know people said otherwise. I can only tell you what we know from the decade that we've managed it. And we're gonna allow the water to follow its natural drainage course within the park. And so, I think I don't see a situation in which something other than that happens. And so then the question becomes bringing it back to the commission, what's the ultimate outcome, right? I mean, I think the ultimate outcome at that point, the only possible outcome at that point is to encourage the board of supervisors to set a different course. And that's on the commission as to whether that's the direction you'd like to go.
I'm sort of reminded of what happened with San Francisco Creek. San Francisco Creek was rerouted.
Mhm.
Where some engineers decided that, we're gonna build a golf course. So, on the golf course, so we're gonna reroute this thing. But the implication of that rerouting in terms of flooding in East Palo Alto as well as in Palo Alto was devastating.
Mhm.
It was absolutely devastating. So, and I'm saying that if there was some action that was taken, because some of the older ladies and gentlemen at that meeting were saying they swore that, what, this was the natural course of the river and it got rerouted.
Mhm.
But the question they could not answer was, okay, if that was a natural course, then it was flooding somewhere else.
Right.
In some other neighborhood. You see, so, but they did not seem to remember exactly, what neighborhood got flooded. So all I'm saying is this, that, we need to have that history, because they're gonna combat us with that history. And a lot of them are a lot older than we are, so they lived. That was their life experience, and that's their memory, and there's no way we're gonna pull them away from that. We can say, okay, this place was rerouted. And these are the legitimate engineering reasons that it was rerouting, but we wanted to do this, and we did it. Look at it, there's evidence of it, okay? Well, it created another problem, and we're gonna have to just figure out how to deal with it. So, sort of making that statement somehow, I think would be helpful. But I do agree with you. Let's have the agenda subcommittee, flash all of this out and figure out how it's gonna reappear on our agenda. Right.
Chair Luna, I know, public comment.
Oh, yeah, I was on. Any public comment on this? Thank you for reminding me.
Mr. Silvieri, please unmute yourself and,
Okay, but Burnett Silvera, El Granada. I think I met most of the commissioners at that meeting in last month. We, the community next to the park, would just want to voice our appreciation to the commission for its recognition and consideration of the stormwater runoff flooding problem. I think that we need to take a look and see what maybe could be done to reduce the flooding levels. You're not going to be able to reduce maybe all the runoff, but you could reduce the flooding levels. One of the things that been talking about and may suggest is to take a look at a management of the reservoir water levels at the dam to reduce the flooding level runoff. When it floods into the community, it's primarily from the dam's overflow through its spillways. We believe in discussing it, management of the dam water levels could reduce flooding levels into the community. With the improvements that are being made to the dam, I believe that this could be accomplished so that the water levels are reduced when it's getting close to storm time, so that it could accumulate some of the storm water and maybe having it flood off partially. With the shouldn't say flood off, but to be able to turn it on and let some of the water out of the dam before it gets to the point that it overflows and starts flooding. I think these are kind of things that should be thought of as ways to accomplish the flooding, to reduce the flooding, that are reasonable ways to consider things. So I think taking an approach where you actually sort of take a look at some ideas that may be out there that could reduce the flooding levels, not necessarily all the runoff, but when it gets to be flooding levels, would be extremely helpful for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silveri. It was nice to finally meet you. I'm glad you came to the meeting, and I'm so happy we did have the meeting in your neighborhood. And thank you again for your suggestions. And this thing is gonna reappear again on our agenda, and hopefully, we're gonna have some answers. Are there any additional members of the public that may want to?
Any other public comment? Seeing none.
Okay, so I think we can continue to the next item number 8, subcommittee reports. I'd like to ask this subcommittee, any subcommittee that I want to talk on the agenda subcommittee. So all the other subcommittees, I don't think they're as active as yes, consumer stuff. Or we have not assigned commissions to them. And so perhaps for our next meeting, let's put an item on assigning commissioners to the subcommittees.
To whatever's left for the remaining of the year. you know,
Yes,
at
yes,
least
yeah,
knock
yeah,
that out.
yes. Oh, yeah, I promise to be active until the end, the very end.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Would whoever like to talk about the agenda subcommittee? But I'm gonna wait till he gets back. But
I
thank you.
think we could, if we run into a legal question, we can wait until he gets back.
I got a text from a member of the public asking me to put a specific item on this meeting's agenda.
Mhm.
And I chose not to respond to it.
Okay.
With the premise that, you know what, anything that I'm not the commission. I'm just a member of the commission. And any item that gets on the agenda is something that's a collective decision. It goes through the agenda subcommittee and it gets brought to the commission, and the commission decides what's gonna be on the agenda and what's not going to be on the agenda. This particular individual actually wanted it to be in this meeting's agenda, so I chose not to respond to him. I was hoping he was gonna be here, because he's been here in most of our meetings. And I was hoping he's gonna be here so that when I address this issue, he would be present, but hopefully he still may
Is
be.
he online possibly?
I do not know. I do not know, but I did wanna make that statement. Yes, that members of the public can approach us individually and wanna have something be put on the agenda, but we'll funnel it through the process, that currently exists. So I'm bringing forth this, not so much of a discussion, but this communication with a member of the public who wanted to have the item placed on the agenda. And it was Mr. Kennedy, and of course, he wanted to continue the discussion on his proposal, but he wanted an item specific to his request to be placed on the agenda, so.
Through the chair, I kind of, and I wanna, and I'm very diplomatic and very, very transparent and civil in my takes, whether it's here in this building or outside of this building. Ultimately, where are we going with this, and where is it going to, what's the end game for him? And what is it gonna take for him to say, I'm gonna come to terms of this commission or this county or this department to approve my project, or where are we? Because and I respect the individual, Mr. Kennedy is a good community guy. But I'm wondering, how many more meetings is he gonna attend to where he gets what he's aiming for? And what is it he's trying to build bridges amongst us as a commission or amongst the department themselves?
First of all, we're gonna respect him as a member of the public. He can make any requests he wants.
Anytime we like.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
absolutely every right. So he has a right to ask, for a specific item relating to something that, he's been talked about at several meetings, to be placed on the agenda. The question is, my response, and my response was no response, hoping to bring it out here to the public. To this commission meeting, and said I did receive this communication, and his request was to put the item on this meeting's agenda. And I said I was gonna discuss it at this meeting. And that if he was present, or even if he's not present, I think what I would like to say is this: we have set up a process.
Yes.
We've set up an RFP process.
You've done your due diligence.
And so, the RFP opening up in June, and he's gonna be informed, just like everybody else. Okay? The RFPs are gonna be reviewed, and decisions are gonna be made in a very open manner. Okay, and even after the decision has been made, every applicant, every responder to the RFP is gonna have an opportunity to come to the commission and advocate for their proposal. And even after that, they're gonna be welcome to the Board of Supervisors, and the Board of Supervisors accepts our recommendation or doesn't. they're gonna get a chance to advocate for themselves there as well. But some decision is gonna be made, but the process has already been established.
I think we've done that as a commission and as Chair Okello, through the chair and through this board. I think, we as, public servants and we are commissioners, within our respective districts, whether, you approach me and you don't live in my district, or if you do, I'm still gonna table it and bring it to our commission as Chair Okello has said. Mr. Kennedy can bring up and come, to as many meetings as he wants and bring up 1001 issues, and just as long as we recommend something, we've done our part as commissioners, and we can then in turn push it over to the elected board of supervisors and see what they decide on that end. That much we understand.
Chair, if I may. I agree with everything the commission's saying. I don't think at any point in time has Mr. Kennedy been directly told what the conversation was that just had, right? I think it's been implied that there's a process and you have to follow the process. At no point in time, in my recollection, has Mr. Kennedy been told, we will not review your proposal outside of the established process, and you are allowed to submit an application pursuant to our process when it opens. And we will review it in consideration with our guidelines and evaluate it against others received and make a determination, which is within our discretion to make as a review panel, and make that recommendation to the Board of Supervisors for final determination. I don't think Mr. Kennedy has been given that clear of instructions. And I think that to answer the question of, you know, the what question I believe you asked, I think that's the answer is, you know, it's been implied, but I don't think that's the answer. I think we need to be clear. And it's not just to Mr. Kennedy, it'd be to anyone who wants consideration outside of what the guidelines establish.
Right. And so that is gonna happen in June.
Where
This
in
is
June?
June.
August, August.
Or then that has already happened.
Right.
And so has there been, I guess, there's no need to discuss it at this level of detail. And so, well,
Will it come up in August? Since we're not discussing in June?
yeah,
To the chair, for clarification purposes, when a member of the public wishes to place an item on the agenda, the normal process is to send the request through staff, and I believe that instruction is in our agenda packet. Right? The normal process is not to contact an individual commission member. So the preference is to request it through staff. The staff will relay that information to the agenda subcommittee, and we will have that discussion. I just want to be really clear on that.
Yeah.
That
but
process.
I also think it's true, it's equally true. A member of the public may decide to write a letter to an individual commissioner. So the individual commissioner's obligation is to bring it to as a communication. Particularly if it's pertaining to the commission's business. And not to individually respond to.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So are there any subcommittee updates? That I presume there's none. And so items for the future, agenda, do we feel any? Yeah, public comment.
Any public comment on item number 8, subcommittee items? Seeing none.
So let's take the freedom to move to the next item. Item number 9. Are there any specific items that commission members personally feel need to be added to this list for the agenda subcommittee to chew on and prepare the agenda for August? And in August, we're meeting Unitas Creek.
Got it.
So that sort of limits, you know, what we can. So then we're really talking September meeting.
September.
September. So are there any items?
Go through the chair. So when was our next scheduled budget presentation? That's,
So
'cause I know we had at least when Hannah, wherever she was.
Yeah, Rolanda, or I had given one
It was-
in May, no, wait, one month, in April.
April.
In
Yeah.
April, I gave that one, that budget is being adopted later this month. So the next one would be when we start preparing our 2-year budget
Got it. Okay. Which will be.
next year.
Got
Yeah, I think we have it on that little rotation, I think it's like February.
Yeah, I see every commissioner is being extremely thoughtful, so there may be a whole bevy of new items to be added to this. But I also presume there may be none. And so we're gonna have at least 2 agenda meetings, prior to, or at least one other agenda meeting prior to September, so we'll still have opportunity. So there being none. Public comment, any public comments?
There's one, Mr. Silvera, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think you implied it, but on the items that you were referring to under 7.2, I believe you were going to refer those to a possibility be putting on future items of the agenda.
Yes.
Thank you.
That concludes public comments. Any commissioner think of something else? Topic? If none, meeting is adjourned.
Just one thing, and before, if we can give honor and memory and respect to the mayor of Half Moon Bay, Joaquin Jimenez, who lost his son just a week ago, and that's in Commissioner Irma's district. If we can just take a moment of silence for, I am a union person. He is not my union, but he's a local 2 electrician in San Francisco. So if we can think of the hard times that the mayor of Half Moon Bay is going through, just give him a moment of silence for his son and his family.
Yeah, that's what that's the reason to have a motion for adjournment so that we don't adjourn a meeting, something, so for the future, just get a motion to adjourn the meeting, and then we get an if you think something else, then the motion is not seconded. Something comes up, so do I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I second your motion
Yeah.
to adjourn the June 6th meeting.
And I'm sure somebody's gonna second that.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect.
Thank you.
Great.
And half the year